Hi, I'm Rebecca Seagraves, and I am speaking with Ashley Ballou today. She is the founder of Black Allied Health Therapists. She's an author, she's an occupational therapist, and I'm so excited to be speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm super, super excited to be with you guys today.
Yeah, well, let's get right into it. I want to know from a mother, an entrepreneur, occupational therapist, how do you find time to one, create retreats, to teach therapists, which we all know is a demanding, it's, a very personal field, right? We're spending one-on-one time with people, with their families, and we often are the worst when it comes to self-care. How do you find the time to create these retreats? What are these retreats, first of all, that teach us how to take care of ourselves?
Well, to answer that first question, three things: my faith in Jesus Christ, two, community, and three, delegation. I mean, those are the three things are like pillars in being able to do all of the things you mentioned and listed. I would say for the retreats, it came out of a need. I did some market research now it's been probably about a year and a half ago, where I was surveying different therapists, whether they were therapy students or therapists. And I just asked them, like, what is your day to day? Like, what do you do on a daily basis? And then follow up with, what do you do for yourself? And then a lot of the answers are like, I just go to work, or I might, take a bubble bath and that's it, or something to that regard. The idea was for me to see if was there a need for strategies, for tools, for support, like community support, like what was it? And I think it was just an accompaniment of everything. It was everything that they needed. And of course, every individual is different. Everyone perceives self-care as different. So I went ahead and created a group. It's called TLC for OTs, and it's on Facebook. And I know it's titled OTs, but anybody that's a therapist can join in. And that's where I post a lot of my like finds on self-care and self-reflection and being self-aware of loving on yourself.
I love that. You and I have spoken about this kind of offline. I share my story. About 3 months before I started even PT school, I watched my mother have a massive stroke and just go for hours. It seemed honestly like years, being ignored until an occupational and physical therapist in the hospital and acute care team saw her and they believed what I was saying. Other than that, they were just waiting for, I'm not sure what, they weren't ordering tests, they weren't really moving on anything. And it really gave me hope having that experience. But, she walked in the hospital, never walked out, and it wasn't the same person, couldn't walk, couldn't speak. And so throughout the years, I've dealt with immense amount of, just challenges with mental health. And it's been, honest to God, it's been an OT that's kind of pulled my family out of the trenches when it came to caring for my mom, because they were able to see her as this whole person, where even my own field in physical therapy, I've really struggled with my colleagues. And so, hearing you say that, I know your work has not only been for therapists, it's also been for caregivers of people who have gone through things like that, to take a step back and care for ourselves, because we get lost, when helping a family through illness or caring for some of our patients and their very heavy stories. We get lost in caring for ourselves.
Gosh, yes. Yes.
And you literally built an organization to teach us how to do that.
Yes. I have countless stories of me as the caregiver of my late grandmother. My mother and I were her caregivers for 7 years before she passed. That journey in and of itself, because I was long distance. I live in Houston currently, and that's where my family is from. But at that time, I was living in Dallas, and to have to make that back and forth, that's I can relate as the family member. I also, of course, as a therapist, and knowing OT or occupational therapy scope of practice, we are holistic based, making sure that not only is the loved one returning back to as much independence safely and efficiently and effectively as possible, but also loving on the caregiver, educating them, walking alongside them, and giving them that sense of hope that maybe another clinician um, did not or could not provide at that time. We use this concept called therapeutic use of self, where it's really the use of my tone, my demeanor, me giving eye contact, uh, at times, letting them know I can relate, giving feedback of validating their what their inner cry is, if you will. And I really have been able to, thank God, connect with people and families in a way that it allows them to say, okay, I'm going to give this OT thing a chance. Like, I don't know what this really is, but, because a lot of people don't know what occupational therapy really encompasses, but it's really being as independent with your self-care, your routine management, and your living skills, everything you take for granted, like you said, with life and living, we make sure that you're empowered to do the best you can.
It's true. I mean, as an occupational therapist, I have to ask you this because I'm still learning about mental health OT. And I'll be honest with you, when I started working with moms in the hospital, it was an OT who taught me how to navigate those difficult, very, very difficult situations where a mom had lost her baby, but still had to undergo a C-section or still had to undergo a birth experience that would be described, I kid you not, as, my baby was torn out of my body, And it was an OT who, like you said, used that body language, allowed a space bigger than the room, for that mom to express herself, to still adopt an identity as a mother, who had still lost her baby, but still was trying to bond with the baby in her arms. And I would have these experiences where I was not taking lead as a PT. I was standing in the corner and I was watching an OT do maternal health care the way I imagine it should have always been done, providing that community that the mother needed at that time, that this person needed at that time. So when you say the terms therapeutic use of self and and holistic care, I'm right there with you, Ashley. I'm loving it because I've seen it done. I've seen it done with a population that's often ignored. And I understand that you've had your own journey, from motherhood to where you are now. Would you share a little bit about that?
Yes. So I am a mother of 5 girls. I have a 15-year-old, 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a set of twins that are 4. And every single pregnancy was a journey. I'll explain a little bit of my first and then the last pregnancy. The first pregnancy, I was pregnant at 19 as a sophomore in college, and I was away from home. And at that time, the father was my boyfriend. Now he's my now husband. And when I found out I was pregnant, he actually transferred his job to where I was. And 2 months later, we broke up. So we broke up during my pregnancy, but he was still an active dad, meaning he'd take me to all of my visits, and that was it. He would take me. So he would support, but he would support from afar. And one of the things is, as women, we kind of want our mothers to be there for us. That's the closest, connection. We like ask advice and what should I do? And I'm feeling this, and this is the first thing, all the jitters. But my mother was very highly disappointed, angry that I got pregnant early, got pregnant before marriage, all of those things. And, at that time, my mother was just hurt. She was projecting her hurt that she experienced actually, she got pregnant with me at 19, 20 and thought that her story was going to be my story. So she was just internally probably hurt. And I'm definitely forgive her for that. But it was hard going through my pregnancy. I didn't talk to her really until like I was 8 months pregnant. It was hard to had broken up with my boyfriend or the baby daddy. And then on top of that, my mother's not speaking with me. But you know what? God had a bigger plan. He provided me with other community to support me while I was on that college campus pregnant. He provided me with so many other resources. I was placed in like family housing on campus. I had my own space for, when the baby arrived, and they took, if I would have had, I went to Texas Women's University in Denton, Texas. And if I could have had a baby anywhere, I would have been there. I was blessed beyond measure. There were so many other resources I started learning and finding. And even at that time, my roommate, we had to move from that dorm because when I became pregnant, like it kind of made me ineligible to live in that particular dorm. But she actually moved in with me. Like I didn't ask her. She became my community, and she stayed with me a year and a half into me having the baby, or my firstborn. And I kid you not, like I know everybody's story is not like that, but I do believe that people come into your life for a reason, and sometimes it's so important not to push them away just because of pride or ego, or, you're not sure their motives, you know, be in constant prayer and accept all help. Whether if they, their intentions may not be good or indifferent, but for what it's worth, that was my first pregnancy story. But then my set of twins. So I went full term with my set of twins, which was 37 weeks. So I went 36, 5 days, and was a beautiful like pregnancy experience. Actually, one of my best, because the other two was kind of eventful, not medically, but just life.
Yeah.
But um, a week after I had my twins, I was hospitalized for a week in ICU. So think ICU setting, your neighbors to the left and the right of you, or with all their different wires and tubing and things, and you in the next room, alert, but I'm pumping milk, but I'm trying to recover because I ended up with pulmonary edema. So at the age of 22, I was diagnosed with hypertension with no known cause. And because of that, I take medicine to just keep me pretty much, my heart
Still,
regular.
still since that time.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
And so with I guess I would say the trauma of having twins, carrying so much blood and things of that nature, because I had to have one vaginally and I had one C-section.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All in the same delivery. You had a vaginal delivery and then you had to have a C-section.
Yeah. So yeah, they
You
were
had not
both.
had pulmonary edema all throughout pregnancy. There was no signs that you were, short of breath, like anything abnormal.
No, it
Then a
just
week later. Wow.
gradually happened during after I got discharged from the.
Mhm.
So I'm crying. The nurse is just writing emotional ability all over her notes.
Which you later saw, obviously.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But I kid you not, also again, another opportunity to it catapulted me to share my story, to be in community. My community, came to the hospital, met, was helpful with the kids and in everything. And also it catapulted me to figure out, what do I want to do as a legacy? Because I really thought I was going to die. Like I thought I was gonna make it out of there when the things that they had to do to, to get my body up to par to discharge. I figured, I was like, I'm going to write. I love to journal. I've been journaling since the age of 10. And I decided to write a book about identity.
And
So, yes.
during that time, okay, I know you're an author. The Identity Journal is your book. I had no idea that that was written around that time when you were in the ICU.
Yes. So I was inspired for for
From
that
that, wow.
that uh that writing experience.
Mhm.
But then it took another traumatic event for me to push the information out of my head. And I don't know if there's any writers in the room, but
Yeah.
different things inspire you to write. And sometimes it's a year's process to continue with the writing journey. But my grandmother, who raised me when I was a little girl, while my mom was in college,
Yeah.
she had passed away. And in that week, it was therapeutic. I journaled, I wrote. And the premise of the identity journal is to let girls know, women know, men know. It's very neutral, gender,
Mhm.
excuse me, uh, to know what their identity is outside of their work. I really wanted to, if I could leave any legacy to my children or to the world, it would be to not put your full dependence of your identity into the work you do, because what if that work was taken away from you?
Ooh, ooh. Oh, that's deep. So to have an identity apart from what it is you do,
Mhm.
what your income is, what sustains you and your family for now, because if you're not able to do that, that identity then goes away with that.
Mhm. And that's where people become
Mhm.
hopeless,
Mhm.
are questioning their existence.
Mhm.
Um, and I always wanted it to be a quick read.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit now about these retreats, because to me, I'm going to talk from a personal standpoint. Just in the past, few years of, transitioning into being an entrepreneur and kind of embodying that separate from my clinical role. Again, this identity shift has been like a roller coaster. How do you convince people to take a step back away from the grind of what it is to even build their own business or to build a service that doesn't exist? Um, how do you convince them to invest in themselves, leave their families, go to these retreats and, really grow from that experience?
Well, I'm going to be honest. It has to be in a place where you yourself have to be like, I'm at my wits' end. I need to give myself a break. Um, it takes self reflection to say, hey, how many times have I been complaining about needing a break or wanting to do something different or do something fun, or just like, oh, I need to sleep. I need some rest. It takes one, self-reflection and knowing, acknowledging that you also need a break, right? And I
Mhm.
think I am speaking to those individuals who know they need a break. I really implore therapists who are kind of like at their wits' end. They're just tired
Mhm.
and they've been going to work faithfully. And this is their time for me to pour in to them, the attendees. So the retreat, it's called the Reset, and it's specifically designed for
I
us
love
to
it. As appropriate. Yes, very appropriate. The reset.
yeah, so it's a retreat that's really centered around rest, leisure, exploration or engagement, and social participation, but really hyper focusing on that rest piece. So it's created for therapists to one who that might just want to just get to know other therapists, and just like to mingle. It's not designed like a conference, if you will. You know how like
Mhm.
a
Oh,
conference
yeah.
have like an agenda and you got to be up at 8 o'clock and all that. Like, no, it's
So
not
that's the
the
very opposite of retreat.
right.
Yeah.
That is totally the opposite. And when we had it last year, or introducing it last year, a lot of people were like, well, what is the agenda? I said, there is no agenda. Everything is optional, but it's a very inclusive. We're having a spa day. We're taking care of their meals. We're taking care of their hotel so they don't have to look for a hotel if they're wanting different snacks or different things like that. Like, we're
Right.
going to the grocery store and getting snacks for them. Like, we want to make sure that the things that they would have normally had to worry about, like if they
Mhm.
went on vacation on their own, we want to make sure that we take care of that. We're taking care of transportation, making sure they stay in a nice accommodations. I built this retreat so I can have a break.
Right. Right. It's true. I mean, and this is important for me to hear people say, and hear you say this, first of all, just to bring it full circle. You're not only an author, an occupational therapist, clinician, entrepreneur, you are a mom of five, right? And you created something that you don't have to necessarily apologize for. I'm going to get some space from you all so that I can be better, so that I can be a better mom, so I can be a better, entrepreneur, so I can be a better clinician. So this, to me, I would trust that you would take care of us, at the reset. And I love that it's total opposite from a conference, which, I'm trying to get on my list. And it's just like, wow, do I have any time built in for self-care? And I don't, right?
We got to make time, girl.
It's true. So the recess, tell us a little bit more. So when is it? Where is it? You have spa day, you're taking care of food, accommodations, transportation. Tell us a little bit more.
Okay, so it will be in July 28th through the 30th. So one of the biggest things, I actually had a meeting with my little small team because I don't pull these off alone. We were like, why would we want people to travel on Friday? We're encouraging people to travel in on Thursday,
Yeah.
uh, to start Friday through that Sunday. And in that, we are covering the whole in the fee, sorry, in the fee, it'll cover your hotel, your transportation to and from the airport, as well as, if we go on any outings. All activities are optional. We'll be doing some things indoor. We'll be doing some things, of course, outdoor. Of course, we're gonna have a spa day because, what is a retreat without a spa? Um,
Right.
we'll also be bringing in guest speakers or guest presenters that are going to be targeting mental health and self-care. So those are just really the topics. And then I will be also hosting, like I said, everything is still optional. Like, you can sleep in from Friday to Sunday and we won't get mad.
Oh, I love it. No, I mean, I will absolutely sign up going somewhere just to sleep. I love that. Yes.
But I will also be having, if you have you ever been to like a vision board party?
No,
Okay,
I need
so
to hang out with you, OTs. I'm sorry. My life is just not this interesting. Keep going.
that's okay. So vision board parties is where you cast your vision out on like whether it be a board or on your computer screen.
I know a vision board, a party around it.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got to have some little party, yeah, inspiration, but it's going
Love
to be
it.
so I do an identity vision board.
Mm,
So making sure that we're casting out who we are, giving ourselves self affirmations, and making sure that we have the words and the verbiage to be able to articulate that to ourselves so that we become the people that our identity has already, secured us to have. So I love doing those. I love the challenge and the uh, aha moments that people, men and women, have had with those. I
it's
got
so
some
powerful because that's a really important, for entrepreneurs, for people who are starting out their business, which I know you provide mentorship for as well. But that's amazing and it's powerful. It's a powerful way to do that in a community that's supportive and also can guide you. Some of us might actually not shoot for the moon and we just might be shooting for the ceiling that we see, but yet you see the moon for that other person. So that's a really powerful activity. Call it a vision board party.
So it's just gonna be like a vision board party.
I love it.
So
Love it.
this is gonna be targeting identity. If the attendees want to go in a different direction,
Hmm.
if they want to just cast their visions for, mid-year 2023, they can go right ahead. That's what's the beauty of this retreat is you have the flexibility and the leisure, to be able to do what you want to do, go out where you want to go. But of course, we have things that's incorporated to make sure that they're having their best time, even if they, let's just say, I don't want to plan anything. Y'all tell me what to do. Okay, we got something for the people that like to stay indoors and the people that like to be out. So
Love it. All right. So last week of July, or last weekend of July, 2023 is called the Reset Retreat. And this is primarily for therapists who are speech therapists, occupational therapists, and physical therapists. Um, yeah, thank you. I will include the link in this video just so that people can sign up. Is there a deadline that they should know about?
so they should know that registration or the cart opens January 1st.
Okay.
We will likely close the cart after spring break. So
Mhm.
in like the end of March, because we want, of course, one to get a head count, want to make sure that we have everything ready for you to have like all your, kind of like relaxation dreams come true, but we have to have time to plan it.
I love it. All right. I will include that information. This has been amazing, Ashley. Thank you so much. Really, honestly, for just sharing your story, the experiences that you've had, and really the journey that's led you to be doing something like this for others. I think it's really powerful.
Oh, it's such a blessing. So many people have poured into me, and including you. You've poured into me even the time we've known each other, and I'm just, uh, my life's mission is really to pour into others. I feel like, if you give into the universe will give back to you, 10 times the measure. And, even without that, I'm just so thankful to be a servant to others. So
I love
thank
it.
you.
And thank you. Thank you so much for giving your time.